I voted for Donald J. Trump in the 2024 presidential election, and I am starting to regret my vote. When I voted for Donald Trump, I was under the impression that we would be getting rid of the undesirable illegal aliens. Now I have no one to work on my farm. What am I supposed to do? Pay them a living wage? This isn't handout city. I'm not giving these people no handouts. And how am I even supposed to do that anyway? I thought the plan was to tax the poors. Okay? I thought we were going to tax the poors. I make $25,000 a year. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them poors. But why did my taxes raise? I thought us good folks were supposed to be getting tax cuts. That was what I thought. Plus, I'm white. Why did my taxes raise, and why do I have no one to work my farm? I do not understand this, and I know that this was not what Donald Trump meant to happen. I know that he doesn't want us good Trump supporter folks suffering, but we are. Donald Trump, please reverse this. I'm a white person. I am not supposed to be suffering. It was supposed to be the Mexican.
Well, second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I got laid off again. Twice in a year. And, what the fuck? What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So, we're gonna lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key, to even keep the current roof over my head. And now I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's fucking shit. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild. And I'm fucking angry more than I am hurt or sad. I am scared. I have no idea where any of my bills are gonna come from, the money. I'm more angry than anything because I just cannot even believe I used to be able to get a job like the week later if I got laid off. So I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I was really hoping at one point I would make money on TikTok, and I still only have 1,500 followers or whatever. So if you could just blow this up and let's get 10,000 followers plus whatever, because I might be homeless in a week or two if I can't figure it out. So yeah, I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday, a way better Tuesday than me. And if you have any tips, tricks, or whatever to help right now and get me through this, greatly appreciated. Yeah.
I've had enough. Yeah, I've had enough of this horse shit. I don't give a shit what kind of law you make. I ain't gonna follow it. I ain't paying my taxes this year. I just don't even care. I'm not gonna be ruled by tyrants. I'm done. No taxes. I'm not following your goddamn laws that you make that are arbitrary and unconstitutional. I just ain't doing it. I've had fucking enough of your bullshit. Washington State, Oregon, California, kiss my ass. I ain't following no more laws. No more new laws that don't make no sense. Your little snitch line and all your bullshit you got going on, I'm not doing it. I'm not funding your scams and your NGOs and your fucking bullshit. Your wars, your thieving. Yeah, thieving. You loudmouth politicians that don't give a fuck about the common person. I'm done. I've had enough. I am no longer going to participate in your horse shit. And I don't give a fuck what you try to take from me. I come into this world with nothing. I'll go out with nothing. I don't give a fuck. fuck you and fuck off. And on top of that, you best leave me the fuck alone, because you won't like the results if you come out here and try to stomp on my neck. It won't end well. I'm old, and I'm mean as fuck. Leave me alone.
For decades, the American dream promised prosperity, security, and upward mobility. But now, a growing number of white Americans feel like that dream is collapsing before their eyes. Jobs are gone, communities are hollowed out, trust in the system is shattered. Let's talk about what is behind this rage, the fear, and the disillusionment. Watch and pay attention, and I'll share my thought later.
70 countries are now going, wait a minute, Mr. President, can we talk? Hey, wait, we want to do a deal. We want to negotiate. You see, when you stand firm, when you tell folks you ain't going to take advantage of us no more, it's amazing the things that happen. And I know these tariffs are going to work because the same attitude, the same posture worked for the border. You see, none of you liberals want to talk about the border anymore. Prior to Trump getting in office, you kept telling us it was unfixable. They needed more legislation. You needed more government. No. All you needed was to impose the laws you had. All you needed was someone who would stand up and say, hey, stop sending them, take them back, or here's what we're going to do. And because of that, illegal immigration is almost unmeasurable. It's down to nothing. No one talks about it anymore because Trump stood up. That's what he's doing on these tariffs. He is telling these countries enough is enough. You have overcharged us. You've taken advantage of us for decades. We're going to start charging you back. And ain't it crazy? These countries are talking about zero tariff. Hey, countries who have never allowed our products into their country are saying, hey, we can work something out. Look, there's going to be some pain. Yeah, the stock market boys are going to take a hit. But hear me. The stock market is not the economy. And by the way, it's not a profit or loss in the stock market until you buy or sell. You should be looking at the long term. You should be thinking about the future. But you know, all you people who are screaming about the economy, what you want to do is you want to pass the deficit and the trade deficit onto our children, our grandchildren. Well, Trump's doing the tough stuff. He's standing up and saying, we got to fix it now. If you're like me and ready to bring businesses, jobs, manufacturing back to the U.S., to be able to provide for men and women in this country a meaningful, well-paying job that they can take pride in, creating solid products here in our own country instead of buying it from overseas. But even if you disagree with everything I say, answer me this. What we're doing ain't working. That's a fact. What would you do? That's right. You ain't got to answer, Cupcake. All you want to do is complain and scream. Yeah, I'm ready to rebuild America. I'm ready to put Americans first. Just like President Trump did on the border, he's now doing it with these tariffs. I support President Trump on these tariffs. I hope you do too.
Seattle shipping port is empty. So is LA. It looks like that's the three main shipping ports on the West Coast. They are no longer getting international shipments. The last one is scheduled for tomorrow. This is going to have huge implications for our economy really quickly and also long term. We are probably going to face one of the biggest economic recessions we've seen in probably over a century. This is going to be really bad, especially with all of the migrant labor that we rely on now being gone. If farms can't harvest, if people can't ship things in and out, if truck drivers can't pick up deliveries, our entire system crashes. We are going to see food shortages, empty shelves, job losses, and even higher inflation with all these tariffs. It's going to be pretty crazy. In like 3 to 6 months, we're really going to start feeling this really hard as the harvest isn't being harvested, as retail stores aren't having any inventory and go out of business. This is going to affect mostly middle class, lower class Americans. Rents are going to go up even more. Mortgages are going to go up. It's going to get harder to get loans. And we are going to see huge layoffs. It's time to start channeling your grandma who survived the Great Depression. Start your garden. Start learning canning. Buy a bidet, switch from paper to cloth products, shop locally. This is probably going to be a lot worse than what we saw during COVID.
And the fucked up thing is the people at the top with all the money aren't going to be hurt by this. It's going to be us. And while everything is skyrocketing in price and while everything is crumbling apart, they're going to snatch up all these stocks as they plummet so they can buy super low and get even more money in the future. They are manufacturing an economic crisis that will hurt middle class and lower class Americans the hardest while they boost their fortunes. There is so much manufacturing of an economic crisis. This is all avoidable. But yet, here we are.
My biggest fear is that people won't wake up. My biggest fear is that people won't ever wake up. I have a friend who is a truck driver and was actively at the port in Seattle, seeing that shipping containers were not coming in. He's actively losing work, not being able to get loads to pick up as we speak, and still getting harassed, belittled, told that it's not real. That is exactly what happened during COVID. When COVID hit, I was an ER nurse in a level 1 trauma ER in the state. People never woke up. I don't mean that in the sense, well, I literally and figuratively, but figuratively, they never woke up. And I find myself telling myself that things will get bad enough and people will wake up and America will figure its shit out. It has to get bad enough for enough people and then they'll wake up. And I just put 2 and 2 together today. I don't know that that will happen because these same people are the people who blue lips, gasping breaths, watching family members pass away and suffocate, being told that they can't get ventilators, losing their newborn child, losing their parents, their spouse, brothers and sisters, watching their own oxygen decrease, realizing that they're very sick, would use their last dying breaths to yell at us and tell us that it was fake. They never woke up. There were people who spent months in the ICU with their spouse or their loved one and still refused to get the vaccine, refused to believe that COVID was real. That is how set in their ways they were. I don't know that people will wake up for this. I don't think that there's a certain demographic that it has to affect before people will wake up, because COVID also affected every demographic. Granted, yes, there were certain demographics it affected more, but it touched everyone. It took lives of every different social, cultural, economic class. And those people never woke up. We are 5 years deeper into this tunnel, this rabbit hole. Things that I saw from the people in COVID, the willingness to fight the people trying to help you as you are literally gasping for your last breath. Times that by 5 more years of lies and indoctrination and being in a cult. I don't know, guys. It's bringing back of how it felt to be a nurse back then, listening to my friend talk about being a trucker right now. Looking people in the eye and saying, I am not getting jobs. There are no shipments coming in because of what is going on. They straight to your face, they tell you you're lying or that they know better. That is exactly how it felt. And knowing that your personal hell was just ramping up, knowing that things were going to get so much worse, and you were on the front lines of that impending sense of doom that you know is coming, and nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear you. They'd rather call you names, call you a liar, say that they know better than you. And then you think, well, if enough people get sick, if enough people go broke, if enough people don't eat, if enough people go to the stores and the shelves are empty, if just enough people, whatever you want, fill in the blank, then they'll wake up and then they'll realize that we're not lying. No, they won't. No, they won't. It's literally an endless, vicious cycle. And I can tell you firsthand, people will use the last bit of air in their lungs to tell you that you're wrong.
I don't care. I don't fucking care. All these videos on this app about how in 3 weeks the grocery stores are going to be empty, good. Fucking let that fucking play out. Okay? Take some precautions, but let that shit play out. Farmers on this app boo-hooing because they're losing their farms? Fuck all the way off. What did you think was going to happen? Joe Biden bailed you out, then you turned around and voted for Trump. So yeah, I'm glad that all your government grants and bailouts and farmer welfare got taken away from you. And I hope to God a Democrat buys your land and is profitable. Truckers. Oh my God, the amount of truckers on my algorithm right now boo-hooing that they don't have any loads, which by the way, at first is kind of funny. But what? 90% of you voted for this. What the fuck did you think was going to happen when he tariffed the whole world and there was going to be no product to move around the country? Hello? Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm scared to death of the fucking shitstorm that we are all about to fucking walk through. And the longevity of those empty shelves fucking keeps me up at night. But the only thing that keeps me going is that any day it could happen.
My husband just got an email saying that he lost his job because of the tariffs. He's a cargo pilot. And we voted for the lady. We didn't vote for this. This is so uncool. It's like, what are they trying to do? Like, what is happening? I'm sorry that happened, babe. Are you alright?
It's alright. I guess I can
He'll look for another
get a truck driver.
The pilot.
We are going to be losing a significant amount of food, nearly 6 million pounds. It's hard to imagine why these dollars were cut out of the budget.
You know, we spend an awful lot of money building these very fancy tanks and guns that you can't eat a gun.
The USDA has cut $11 million in funding that food banks across North Carolina were expecting to receive in 2025. The money helps farmers supply fresh, local produce to food banks who then distribute it to people who can't afford groceries.
What we hear a lot about is the fiscal responsibility needs for the government. But what is fiscally responsible about taking food out of the hands of children who are in need and seniors and families in our community?
These peppers here come from a North Carolina farm. We have programs where the government money pays the farmers to grow produce for this food bank.
This investment has allowed the local supply chain to flourish. We are losing $2 million that we use to purchase that fresh, healthy food from small rural family farms each day.
Many of them have told us that without those resources, they may not be able to stay open.
So now not only we are going to impact people who use that food to, live, we're also impacting farmers.
I think about when I was a kid and I was facing food insecurity. To me, a food bank was the dimly lit church basement, full of some dusty expired cans of olives, and that's sort of like what you got, right? That's not what food banking is today. The vast majority of the food that we distribute, over 50%, is fresh produce, fresh dairy, eggs, protein, coming in bins like these directly from local farms.
Nearly 1.5 million North Carolinians don't have enough to eat, and food banks like the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina have been a lifeline. Now, as part of a $1 billion cut to local food purchasing assistance for food banks and schools across the United States, this aid is under threat.
There's 1 in 5 children who are facing hunger in our service area. Think about the child going to school alongside my child. Will they be able to learn and thrive? And it's not just about the food today, but the impact of the lack of this food today in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years down the road is going to be systemic.
Let your legislators know that we absolutely have to protect funding for these programs. It is funding for farms. It is funding for families facing hunger. We have to get involved.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Like, really think about that for a second. Like, when you're driving, if you're not in, like, Florida or California or the coast of, like, Oregon or whatever, it's like, this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Europe and Japan and all the architecture, like, across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why don't we have, like, rose gold fucking buildings and, like, why does the Kmart's and, like, all of the stores look like shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine, like, like, look at China. Like, Shanghai, like, the coast, like, all those videos you see. That's, like, no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have. But it just looks like You know what I mean?
All right, let's focus differently today. So about 2 months ago, I started talking about food shortages, and now every content creator that is larger is talking about it. The only reason I knew about it so far ahead of everybody else was because I do work in an industry that's manufacturing and trade, and I'm up the upper level where I'm talking about risks to the company because I'm in finance and IT. And they were talking about geopolitical climate as being one of their top risks. Now, I work for a company out of Europe, and they were talking about severing negotiations and trade talks with the U.S. And I was hearing more and more grumbling. And I have colleagues that are all over the world. China, Mexico, Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and then all of the European countries, India, Australia. And a lot of them were saying that their local news were telling them that they were going to stop negotiating and doing trade with the U.S. This is something I heard in those conversations with my colleagues. And it's interesting now that it's being talked about. But, of course, I was planning 2 months ago. And I did talk on here 2 months ago, but I didn't have a big following at that time. But we need to talk about it because there's a lot of things we don't make enough of in this country to supply the entire country, including things like coffee, which we do every single day. So either those are going to go super high because the trade deals we had in place are no longer, or there's going to be shortages. But it's not just things like coffee, luxury. I mean, coffee to me is not a needed essential. I mean, I could do without it. I like it, but I can do without it. But certain things we're going to need. There's going to be food we really need. So I really think that I did a post a couple weeks ago, but I know that I tagged a couple creators, like Hear Me Out on this, who likes to make lists. And I know she was busy with the Unfuck America tour, but we really need to gather a list of farmers that did vote blue and support them, because obviously we can't grow a head of cattle or a whole bunch of pigs and, chickens in our backyard, especially those of us that live in cities. But I also want to talk about things like buying from truckload sales. So as summer comes around, you're going to have local farmers try to sell things on the back of their truck. Or there's one that comes up from Georgia with peaches and berries. We probably should be thinking about canning and preserving. And those of you that can and preserve like I do, we need to teach safety. Because a lot of these new kids don't know what and how to do it. They're trying to read it out of a book. And I know if you remember when you were first learning how to can, it didn't cover everything. So we really need to talk about acidic nature and making sure that things stay safe and they don't end up with botulism, salmonella, or any of those things. Plus the difference between a water canner and a pressure cooker and which ones have to go in which. We really need to start talking about how to help others. They don't have to necessarily grow it all. They need to go to sales and preserve, because that's what my family did. My mom and dad were really poor, so they would go to truckload sales and buy big, huge flats of peaches and pears and stuff and can them for the whole year. We need to start teaching people. But we need a list of farmers. That's really important. We need a list of farmers that we want to support.
We just want to work, sell our crop, and have a decent life like everybody else. But if they would just leave it alone.
This trade war is going to impact literally every corner of the country. Some of those who are most uncertain about what this is going to mean is those in agriculture and farming. Like here, corn and soybean farmers and pork producers. Where does this trade war end?
I don't know where it ends. I hope it ends soon.
What is your message to the Trump administration?
Just stay out of it. I mean, if they would just leave it alone and let the free market do its job, everything would be okay.
This is going to be so far reaching, not just because of the Trump administration's tariffs of goods imported into the United States, but it's about the question marks in the days ahead about the retaliatory tariffs that the likes of China, Canada, potentially Mexico, and Europe are going to place on U.S. goods that are either produced, like corn and soybeans, or manufactured and sent overseas.
America is going to be the poorest country in the world starting now. You're going to see the biggest crashes happening right now. So that's good for me because the price of gold and silver go up. So this time I went to the slums of Mumbai. But what shocks most people is America never had slums like that. Today, slums are everywhere across America. The slums of Mumbai are spreading across America. So the big shift is Russia, China versus America, Europe. The Chinese are threatening to shift the yuan to gold. And if they do that, US dollar collapses. If that happens, America goes. So that's why I've been saying it's commodities, silver and gold. So when the dollar crashes, I get richer.
Some people aren't going to like to hear this, but that farmer guy in Missouri, Skylar Holden or whatever, who lost his farm, voted for Trump, and now he is maybe not regretting his vote, but he's having conversations, he's digging into things, he's doing his research, he's finding primary sources, he's asking how to educate himself, he's engaging with comments about, other political things like racism, and expressing interest in learning. Those are the people, if you are a white person, if you have the energy to do it, and it's not going to make you jump off a bridge, those are the people that we need to be having conversations with. We do not need to be purity testing them. We don't need to have a gotcha moment. We need to find points of connection and communication, and we need to lean into that to fix problems together. I'm going to be honest, I don't care if that guy is pro-life. That is not my battle with that person or that type of person. I started learning about racism, classism, ableism, transphobia, all of the isms after I learned about feminism through a very, third wave white feminist lens, and I connected with specific parts of that movement that exposed me to other movements of fighting oppression. We need to find the way in with these people who are experiencing this for the first time, even if it's very frustrating because we've known this whole time that this is going to happen. We need to find those points of connection, and we can work on the other things later. Again, I'm specifically asking white people to do this work, especially if you have intersecting layers of privilege. Like, I'm cisgender, I appear to be straight, and so they will take me, people like that will take me a lot more seriously than they would take, a more visibly queer person when they're having those conversations. So if you have the privilege, you need to be putting yourself, in the front, just like we do at protests, to be having these conversations, even if they're incredibly frustrating and difficult to have sometimes, because that's the only way we're going to get out of this giant fucking shit show.
Oh, I'm a soybean farmer that voted for Trump, and I'm begging him to stop this trade war. Oh, look at you. You're so different. You're so strong. You're so brave. See, you're like a 10th generation soybean farmer, and apparently the president of the American Soybean Farmers Association. You know that last time he was in office, soybean farmers lost $20 billion because of his tariffs. And our tax money had to bail you out. And you fucking voted for him again. And now you're like, oh, I'm begging him, please stop. This was in Project 2025. Hello? So fucking tired of you people. I saw a video of the cheese lady, the cheese slice lady. I saw a video of her at a store pointing to cheese and saying, haha, see, some of us can laugh at ourselves. Fuck you. Right. Fucking glaring red flags. You ignored all of it. And now you're like, I'm a soybean farmer and I'm begging him, please stop doing exactly what you said you were gonna fucking do. Oh, I'm the cheese lady. I'm the cheese lady. See, I can laugh at myself. Obviously, I got tricked, but I can laugh at myself. There are people whose lives have truly been impacted by his fucking whims. Cheese lady, we don't need you to laugh at yourself. We need you to fucking apologize. What, soybean farmer? We need you to say, I am such an asshole. It was crystal clear. He said, I'm going to do this to you. Now I'm like, fucking apologize.
The American dream once meant this: work hard, buy a house, raise a family, retire in peace. But for many white Americans, especially after World War II, this dream became reality. Government-backed loans, union jobs, affordable education, a sense of security. But that foundation, it is cracking. Over time, wages stopped growing. Jobs were shipped overseas. Healthcare became unaffordable. college debt skyrocketed, automation replaced entire industries, and suddenly the dream was not for everyone anymore, not even for them. So now we are seeing it. Rage, confusion, protest, conspiracy, division. Millions of white Americans, especially in rural areas and small towns, felt left behind. They see rising costs, crumbling schools, addiction, mental health crisis. And no matter who is in office, nothing changes for them. How did we become the forgotten ones in our own country? That frustration has led to everything from political extremism to cultural backlash. And it is not just about economics, it is about identity, loss, and fear of the unknown. Many are now asking the unthinkable. Was the American dream ever real, or just a myth we bought into? Because if your parents could buy a home with one income, but you are working 2 jobs and still drowning, that dream starts to feel like a lie. For some, this means turning inward, blaming immigrants, minorities, or the system. For others, it is a wake-up call to imagine what the dream should look like for everyone. What is happening now is not just about race, politics, or economics. It is about disillusionment and who gets blamed for it. White Americans are at a crossroad. Do they cling to a past that no longer exists? Or do they join with others who have always been excluded from the dream to build something new? Thank you for watching.